I totally forgot to turn the phone sideways. Okay, welcome to my channel. It's been a long time since I've posted anything. It's been busy. Anyway, here I am. We got back from the Dominican Republic a few weeks ago, and then I have more vacation to use up. So I'm off until Christmas, and I thought I could make some videos. So the first one I thought we could do is to plant some Begonia seeds. So I have my little greenhouse here, and I just start with some of my Begonia soil, and I have my soils just in drawers underneath my desk. Different soils for different types of plants. So we'll just put some soil into there. I probably just put in a few centimeters of soil, and I'll add a little bit of macrorhizal inoculant. My favorite one is called Recharge. A little bit of that to the water, and then just give the substrate some water there, and then add some akadama on top. And I don't think this is necessary, but I don't know, it works for me. I find I can tell if the substrate is dry by noting the color of the akadama. And I find sometimes it actually helps for me to lift the seedlings out when it comes time, because they kind of stick to the akadama. The roots kind of stick. So the other, what I'll do now actually is just, you can see the akadama when it's dry versus when it's wet. So once your seeds are in, you can tell when they need to be watered again. And I always water before I sow the seeds. Okay, so the seeds, they're tiny, so they don't get lost. Or I don't wash them away, because the seeds actually do not need to be buried. They need to be just sitting on top, and they need strong light to germinate. So here's some seeds I have here, and let's see what we should plant today. See if there's anything new that I want to try. Maybe a Draco cross with Capaus, Huluensis. So I've labeled all of these from when when I got the seeds from the pod, and I just store them in my fridge. Capaus Huluensis, that's a nice one. Maybe I'll do some Chloral Red, because I do need some more coral flowers. Let's see. Sarah Walk. Okay, let's do some Chloral Red. I have lots of it. Unfortunately, some of this fell out of my packaging into the container. That's okay. There's so much in here. Okay, let's do some Chloral Red. Okay, so you can see that they have fallen out of the packaging, but they're still enclosed in these coin containers. Okay. So let's try to open here. Where's that darn opening? Bear with me. All right. So there's a bunch of seeds. Can you see? In there. They're tiny. Tiny, tiny. And some seeds in there. I'm not sure if you can see. I hold it against the white. So I'll just kind of drop those in. Alternatively, I have these paint brushes and I can just kind of paint them in. Use the paint brushes and get them in there. And you can see there, can you see? Oh, it's gonna be difficult. Oh no, look at all those seeds. Come on, seeds. Okay. And we'll wipe them into there. Clean up that container. And then you can look at some of these. So I've labeled them and the date that what's the word? The date that I collected the seeds from the pod. And I think some of my claro, I literally waited like months and months for the pod to dry. Oh, and they just went flying. Well, there we go. Some seedlings all stuck together. So I don't know if you can see. There. You can see them rolling around. You do want them to roll around like little, they look like little barrels if they're in looking through a microscope. They look like little rounded barrels. And so I'll just kind of tap, 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 tap. And you want to try to sew them fairly separated so that you'll be able to separate the seedlings later, but not a big deal. I find I can usually separate them even if they're kind of root bound to each other, but I'll show you that when I plant when I separate the batch of seedlings I have here. Okay, so I still have lots left in there. Coral Red was one of my favorite begonias that I was obsessed about when I first started collecting begonias. So you won't really be able to see them in here. They're the same color as the Akadama, but then you can make your label and the date that you sowed them, and then close it up. If it's not super tight, then you can clip them or use some glue dots. And then they need to be in very, very high light and humidity, obviously. This is kind of loose, this little turny thing here. Super high light and humidity, and it depends. I find that it could take anywhere from a week to several weeks for the seeds to germinate. So maybe I'll follow up later, but I will use my handy dandy label maker and these guys here and just label the date, type of seed, and when I sowed them, when I planted them. All right, I'll set that aside for now. And let's look at this chicken bin. Do you ever find that you go to the grocery store and well, actually I don't go to the grocery store very much because I don't go shopping for food because I don't cook. But do you ever find you go to the grocery store and you're attracted to bins only for their potential for being used as propagation bins? I mean, sometimes I'll find the most perfect bins in the vegetable aisle or the cookie aisle or whatnot, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna buy those tomatoes instead of those tomatoes because the bin is perfect. All right, so I've got my macrorhizal inoculant water. I've got some Nutricoat fertilizer, slow release fertilizer. And for this I might add a little bit of, what is this called? Foliage Plus or something? Foliage Focus. There we go, and ready. Open it this way. Some salad tonight. Feel like some salad? We have a beautiful tonight on the menu. A beautiful mixed greens salad with polka dots. And what better salad is there really than a mixed green salad with polka dots? So, looks like one got a little stuck there and dried out. This I have labeled as my Chloratica times Dawn Heat Tam hybrid. So if you are on my Instagram, you will have seen some of these. They grow huge and gorgeous and very iridescent in certain lights. All right, so I've got my soil underneath the desk here. I've got 2 sizes of cups, and depending on the size, I will thumb it in here. And I always reuse these cups, so I wash them, sterilize them, and reuse them over and over again. Put a little bit of soil on the bottom, because these will come with a bit of soil anyway. Just a bit of water there. And then my handy dandy stick. I need to get one of these that's metal so that I can just wash it and reuse it many times. I mean, I already do reuse it many times. But if I have a metal one, I can just I can sterilize it much easier and then reuse it. So I take this side, which is great for kind of getting in between the plants, and then I'll just kind of move it, or you can say just kind of do little circles to try to free and separate the roots. And of course they are quite root bound in here, but generally they do okay when you separate them, even if some roots break off. And there's some little babies in there that haven't gotten big yet, but there's one fairly big seedling right there. And in certain lights it's absolutely beautiful and iridescent. So I'm gonna use a bigger pot for this, maybe put a little more soil in. There we go. And a little bit of Nutricoat, slow release fertilizer, and I can use this side to kind of make a hole or pat it around, and in she goes. And then I'll just take my spoon, soil, and just add some more soil in there. And a little more, lift her up a bit. Pat her down, or I can use my, what are these things anyways? They're like hors d'oeuvre sticks maybe, or what do you call those things? Like kebab sticks? No, they're probably more like hors d'oeuvre sticks. I don't know. I don't cook. I don't do anything that has to remotely do with cooking in this house. All right, so we're gonna pat that in. Under the bucket, it might need a little more soil. Over here. There we go. And pat that in, And they may need a little bit of support for a little bit until the roots grab on a bit more. Just kind of snug them in there. Alright, so there we go. It's pretty planted in there. It's a little bit floppy, but that's okay. I sometimes add a little bit of Nutricoat. Sometimes, when I was newer at this, I would cover the top the surface of the soil with perlite or akadama. And now perlite's cheaper than akadama, but it's not beautiful necessarily, and I try not to breathe it in too much, but just to keep the stem quite dry, as I was learning, keep the stem quite dry so that it wouldn't rot. These are great. I don't think Starbucks carries them anymore, or maybe they took them away with the straws in Canada, but I'll just put that guy in there and wait for the roots to take hold. And there we have one of 5,492 plants to plant. I just get these Tupperwares from Dollarama, which is an amazing dollar store in Canada. I find it better than the dollar stores in the States, no offense. Just a lot cleaner, and I don't know, just maybe a little bit higher quality of supplies. I mean, it is a dollar store, but they have those bins of like every size. So here's a smaller seedling. So I might use a different cup here. I have my stuff back here on a Lazy Susan. Do I have this one? Yeah, I have two. So I have 3 sizes of cups here. I just use this little guy here and just poke her right in there. And just fill it with soil. So this is my, I've got this like, very Chinese-y of me. You know how, this is very politically incorrect, but you know how when I was young, my parents would always cover remote controls with like plastic wrap, and sometimes even furniture to keep things clean. So I always joke around that we wrap everything. I also remember wrapping our textbooks, like everything is just wrapped to protect its beauty, because you know a math textbook is very, very beautiful. So anyway, that one's nice and snug because perhaps the other one was a bit leggy. A little bit of water, a little bit of neutral coat, and into the Tupperware she goes, and on and on. So I'm just going to continue doing these, and I try not to keep it uncovered for too long at one time, just because, you know, begonias, they go limp. You look at them the wrong way and they go limp. You give them too much air and they go limp. I remember when I first started, I bought some Darth Vaderianas, and I did not know just how sensitive begonias are. See, they're going a little bit limp already. Not bad. Actually, they're not bad. So I got these Darths, and then I brought them home, or opened the package, and I think I let them soak in a little bit of water because they didn't have much media, I think. And then it was like 5 minutes. But if you know Darth, and being a beginner begonia connoisseur, no, that's like if I ate them. Being a beginner begonia lover, I didn't have the experience, and I just left them out for a few minutes, and I came back and they were literally shriveled, like shriveled beyond recognition. Like if you left lettuce out in the summer sun for 10 minutes and the lettuce becomes all shriveled. Well, that was my Darth. Anyway, note to self, and perhaps you guys, people all love Darth, perhaps. I mean, it is beautiful, but there certainly are way more beautiful begonias in my personal opinion. And maybe people just like it for the name or for the challenge. Okay, little limpy, but she'll perk back up. And then those little babies, I'm just gonna poke right back in. They just didn't see enough light. So I'll just take my little sticky thing, poke it in, other side, snug as a bucket. I'm pretty sure I didn't say snug as a bug before I had kids. It's funny the things we say after we have kids. What was I talking about? Anyway, that dearth died. And I think there's way more beautiful plants, begonias, other than the dearth. Although the dearth radiorana, I'm sure, is a beautiful parent to hybrids, and the hybrids are have way more of a hybrid vigor. Some of these are a little harder to pull out. They're a little bit more root bound and stuck to their neighbors. Okay, so worst case scenario, I lose a leaf like right here, and I can just plant that. I'll show you how I do that. So we're just going to kind of gently tug at it and use this pokey side to kind of tweeze away at it, pull away the other roots, and unfortunately you hear some snaps. Sad. All right, there's a couple there. There's a little baby. I'll just poke that guy back in. Okay, in you go. I can use this side to make a hole, flip it over, this side to poke it in. That one. Come on, little guy. All right. Pretty snug in there. Okay. We've got our little guy here. I think I'm gonna poke that guy back in too. Just give it more time with its family. And then I might just leave these guys for now for the purposes of this video, and because they are getting a little bit wilted, I'll close that chicken. I don't know, I guess a chicken needs to breathe when you buy a roasted chicken. I don't know. The chicken feels claustrophobic. Okay, let's get a taller container. Occasionally, I should say, I will use a cup as well, which, as you can see, I reuse. And sometimes if it's a little leggy, or sometimes if it's like super precious, then I can use it as a cleaner too. Like those fancy restaurants where they come and wipe your crumbs after, you know? Make a hole. So handy. Much more handy than its intended purpose, which is for hors d'oeuvres or something. I don't know. Begonia hors d'oeuvres are much better in my opinion. Okay, so I'll just use the paddle side to snug it. Give it a little bit of water, a little bit of fertilizer. I believe this is a 8-ounce cup. And then I'll just cover that. And voila, that is super humid and it will be super happy. I'll show you this one. Oh no, that's a different one. I have another one here that is now in 2 cups, and these cups get longer and longer until, I don't know, I have to get a vase, but I have got some glue dots here. Glue dots are fabulous. You can buy them on Amazon for cheap. So, and I just pop them on there. You can see the glob. That's a little excessive. You can actually rip them into a couple pieces. And then I can stack the cups or my domes with the glue dots. But this is another larger Chlorostica Donatam cross. I don't know if you can see the iridescence, but it's beautiful. I'm quite proud of it. I mean, I suppose I could register it, but that's a lot of work. I have to figure out how to do that. So that is ready to get out of this double-decker cup soon. I press that down and the glue dots hold it really well together. So that's that one. And then I can plant this little guy too that fell off. So I'll take a little cup. And soil, pat, 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 pat. A little bit of water. Take this stuff too. Little hole here, and I'll do a propagate with me video if you're interested, or just comment below and tell me what you're interested in seeing on this channel, and I'll see what I can do. It might be once every 6 months. Hopefully not. Hopefully I can do better than that. So we'll put that in the container as well, in the Tupperware, and that's it. So I wanted to show you this because we're talking about Darth. Oh wait, let me show you this first. Speaking about the container getting bigger and bigger. Oh, eggs. Wait, this one is actually growing some serious aerial roots, and I find this is Begonia nothobaramensis, and it's gorgeous. Let's just cut off that leaf right there, that dry part, or pull it off. I think I'll propagate that bottom one, but I used to give it like a little baby moss pole, and the roots would just hang on, and then you can essentially like air layer it. But there you can see some serious roots as well, so I may take a cutting since it's already pretty rooted. But in this humid environment, it can root quite easily. So my cups are getting, see, this is an 8 ounce, this is maybe like a 12 ounce or something. I believe it's a 12 ounce. But look at this plant. It's got this peltate leaf, kind of like the Forgetii of begonias, and it's got this rim around it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Nice and shiny on the back, glittery, as begonias often are. But look at that peltate leaf. It's gorgeous. I think we have to do a repot with me? No, propagate with me video. So I'm gonna tighten that, but you can see it's reached the roof, so I don't think I can get cups big enough. Is there a place I can buy cups big enough? I save all my Starbucks cups too. And when I used to get chai tea lattes, my favorite, but I'm taking a break from them because I realized how much sugar was in them. I used to always ask for a venti water just so I could get the cup, a nice big venti cup. Now check this out. I posted this on my Instagram. But I mean, that is like neon. Neon signs in Vegas or New York, or neon highlighter. It's magnificent. I grew it from seeds. I didn't get that many, like 4, something ridiculous. Hoping to get more or propagate this, but I mean, that is fantastic. It's amazing. So that's in a cup. It's growing big too, but these cups are great because they hold in humidity, and the begonias love it. All right, so I think that's all for today for sowing and separating seedlings. Sorry for the squeak. And why don't you just let me know in the future what you'd like to see. I could do propagate with me. I could do I call this my plant cave tour. I could do a terrarium tour of my big grow tent that is like a huge terrarium. I could do a pollination. Anyway, let me know what you want, and please hit the subscribe button. Or is it there? Or is it there? Or is it there? Anyway, hit the button, hit the bell icon, wherever it is, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one in not too long. Bye.
The very first moments of falling, the stirring of the heart, felt the love I gave no longer started to bloom with you in mind. When I learned to find with you a way to hold, not lose, if I open up my heart this way, intertwine